Hello, today I'll be helping you choose the forehand rubber which is best for your playing style. So our options fit into 4 categories: the traditional rubber, the tensor rubber, the tacky Chinese rubber, and the hybrid rubber. Each category of rubber is very strong in its own way. So I'll be listing the advantages and disadvantages of all of them so you can choose which one you like. So starting off with the traditional rubber. Compared to these rubbers, this rubber doesn't have too many qualities, but it was very strong for its time, which was around the late 70s. These rubbers offer very high control and ample spin and speed for beginners. 40 odd years ago, these rubbers were also used by the top players. But after the ban of the speed glue, these rubbers have not surfaced in any top player rackets. And I guess you could say all these rubbers are the evolved brothers of this rubber. If I had to recommend this rubber to anyone in the modern day, I'd recommend it to someone who's a beginner and just starting out, because it gives you sufficient spin and speed with great control. So moving on to tensor rubbers. This is a huge step up from the traditional rubbers. So after the ban of the celluloid balls and the speed glue, people still needed that springy, high speed and spin effect. So because players from the 21st century no longer have to speed glue their rubbers, this became a very popular choice, even at the top end. You'll see a lot of pros using these types of rubbers on their backhands, and sometimes even on the forehands. And while the high catapult, high spin and high speed effect is very good for the forehand, large parts of the table tennis community still prefer these two options. So now, onto our third category, the tacky Chinese rubbers. And the main principle and idea of these types of rubbers is for the rubber to be very grippy and very hard. When the DHS Hurricane came out, no one had ever seen this level of hardness and grip, and the dwell time produced from the tackiness was almost unknown. And now this rubber is a very popular choice for intermediate players all the way to world number 1. Some top players with very high levels of force tried the softer versions of these two rubbers and found that the ball bottomed out a bit too much for them. They found that they lost some of the energy that they put into the ball. But with such a hard sponge, all the energy you put in will be all the energy that you get. But be aware, however, these rubbers are known for having very low arcs and very low throw angles. And the last option we have are hybrid rubbers. With hybrid rubbers, you get the high catapult effect of tensor rubbers, and you get the very high grip and tackiness of the Chinese rubbers. A lot of players like this because it gives them lots of gears. These rubbers are known for having hard sponges, very high arcs, and great control. There's been a rise in players using rubbers like the 𝗕𝗍𝗫 𝗫𝗫 and K3, which give you the best of these two categories. The idea behind the creation of these rubbers is to have a rubber like the 𝗘𝗍𝗫 𝗫𝗫, but without having to boost it. Now players like 𝗕𝗫 𝗫𝗫 and 𝗕𝗅𝗽𝗍𝗪 can have the selected qualities of 𝗘𝗍𝗫 𝗫𝗫 with their hybrid rubbers. Now that you're well informed about all the categories of rubbers, which category do you prefer? Take a moment to think about their advantages and disadvantages while I give you specific recommendations for all these categories. I'll be giving recommendations in every category for a low-end rubber, a mid-end rubber, and a high-end rubber. The traditional category is an exception because there aren't many options, so I can recommend you Mark V and 𝗫𝗏. Now in terms of the tensor category, for high-end I recommend the 𝗫𝗫𝗫𝗫, for mid-end I recommend the Evolution MXP, and for low-end I recommend 𝗏𝗍𝗫 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And for the tacky Chinese category, for high-end I recommend the Hurricane 3 National Blue Sponge, for mid-end I recommend Hurricane 8 or Hurricane 3 Provincial, and for low-end I recommend Hurricane 3 Commercial. And now for the hybrids, I recommend 𝗕𝗍𝗫 at high-end, 𝗕𝗏𝗿𝗃 China at mid-end, and 𝗏𝗁𝗐 N80 for low-end. Now let me tell you a bit about myself. I personally use the 𝗕𝗏𝗿𝗃 Pro on my forehand. I find that it gives me great spin and speed with enough control. The hardness of the rubber is just enough for me and I can transfer enough energy onto the ball. I hope you guys enjoyed and were informed by this video. Stay tuned for the backhand rubber video coming soon.